Hello, everybody. I've decided to hop in the studio tonight and make you a quick tutorial on how to do these cute little paddle charms. It's not a traditional paddle. It's something that I just decided to come up with tonight because I got bored with just a regular plain old paddle. I'm like, what if I take and twist it and zigzag it and make it look like a lightning bolt or something like that? And it actually really worked. I'm very, very happy with how this came out. And there is a lot less pounding in there than a traditional paddle. So I think it's a great project for something to start off learning how to hammer with because it's very easy and user-friendly. These are 20 gauge and I've used 1.25 inches, but it also works very well with 18 gauge. So if you're looking for something with a little bit more girth, then you can go 18 inches. And this is still 1.25 inches, but it's a little bit longer because it's a thicker gauge wire. So that's pretty crazy that those are actually the same length wire. It's just a little bit longer, not too much, but the ones I'm going to show you tonight are approximately 22 millimeters. It's a little bit less than an inch. So let's move these out of the way and I'll run through my tools with you real quick. It's handy to have a ruler, and not necessary but very handy, a sanding block. This was only like $2 for 2 of them at, I think it was Walmart. We're going to use a round nose plier of some sort. I'm using the multi-baled making tool. I'm going to use the smallest one on there. But if you only have a regular traditional round nose, that's fine too. Just make sure you do some sort of line or something so that you know where you need that to go on your wire so that you make a uniform circle every time. A uniform loop, sorry, not a circle. I'm also using a, let's see, this is a 3 millimeter flat nose Huron. And I have a needle nose Huron as well, a tweezer nose for making any final adjustments. You are going to want a bench block and hammer. If you have a traditional chasing hammer, that's fine, but I do a lot of micro pieces, so I find a chasing hammer, a traditional size, really cumbersome. I like to get more finite detail. So bench block and your hammer. And also not necessary, but I find it more soothing, if you will, to use a nylon coated wire smoother. I like to start with a nice straight piece of wire. And then we need a flush cutter. So let's clear our workspace and get started here. I'm going to take my 20 gauge wire and I'm going to smooth that out. Just run it a couple of times through my nylon coated tool. There we go. And I'm going to cut that burr off ahead of time because when you cut, you always have a burr on one end. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that. And now we are going to measure out 1 1/4 inch. That's 32 millimeters. And that is all you need, just this little piece like that. So this is a great project for using up any leftover pieces of wire you might have laying around from other projects. So step 1, we are going to take our round nose pliers and put that at the very end of the wire. And just curl that around until it meets the other side. And that loop is completely closed. Next, you're going to take your flat nose, and I'm holding that with the open end of that loop to the left, or the top, if you will. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to push that to the opposite side and make quite a dramatic curve or point. I'm going to reposition my tool. I'm putting that right on the very inside wire that I just bent, and I'm going to bend it now to the left, the opposite direction. Okay, and I'm going real slow because wire does not like to move fast. You want to make slow, deliberate movements with it. So repositioned my tool again, and I'm bending that to the right again, and another bend. This time I'm not going to go quite all the way. I'm just going to straighten down that one so that you have something that looks like that. So there's 1, 2, 3 points. I guess you could consider that a point. Alrighty. So now let's take our bench block and hammering actually takes a little bit of practice. You can't just jump into it right away. So don't expect your first pieces to come out perfect every time. It is a skill on its own. You'll learn how that wire is going to work. So I'm holding this all the way, well, I don't know if you want to call it all the way, but I'm holding most of it. And I'm going to start at the very end, and I'm going to work my way up, but I'm not going to hit it too hard. Let's zoom in here a little bit. Okay. I'm not going to hit it very hard because it's a soft wire and it's going to flatten very quickly. So starting at that very end, I'm going to start tapping. And as that starts to widen, I'm going to work my way up towards the piece. And I'm going to stop. I'm going to work to the side a little, kind of dragging that hammer from the end up. And then I'm going to start all over again. Sometimes it's helpful to turn the piece completely over and work it from the opposite side as well. And stop when you think that you've gone wide enough. See how that just flattens out? That's called paddling. We're not going to get rid of that bench block right away because we will need it again. But now we're going to go in and we're going to straighten everything up. We're going to look at it, and we want this paddle to be in line with this eye and the center of those fender lightning bolts. Yeah, lightning bolts. That's what they are. All right, so. All right, I lied. We are going to move it, but only so that I have room. I'm going to take this. And I'm just going to kind of turn it a little bit until it looks like that is in line. And then I am going to take my needle nose, tweezer nose Xerons, and I'm just going to kind of manipulate this until it looks like it is all in a row, which it does. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is very soft still at this point. Sometimes it goes in line right away, and sometimes you're like, eh. And this one, for some reason, is giving me a hassle. There, okay, I think I'm happy with that now. All right, so our next step is to bring back that bench block, and we are going to work harden and temper that wire so that it's hardened and it stays. So it's not going to be as fragile, and it's not going to bend very easily if you snag it on something. So we're just going to start at that eye, and we're tapping it very gently. We don't want to flatten it too much, but we just want to give it a little texture and character too. I think it looks super cute to have the inside kind of roundish still and the top and the bottom paddle. I like those kind of a little bit flatter. So just kind of try to get that hammer mark out of there from our tool. And then ever so slightly, just tap those zigzags. If you want them completely flat, then by all means go ahead and completely flatten them out. But I'm just hardening them up. Okay. And this is where you want to take and do any final adjustments you need to do to straighten everybody out. I think I'm happy with that. Okay, we're done with that part, and now our final step is going to be to sand out any of those tool marks you made. And this also helps to harden the wire. Just gonna lightly sand it. And you're also removing any sharp burrs that you have in there, because when you hammer that wire at the end thinner, it tends to get a little sharp, and you can have some little corners on there that if you grab your earrings, if you're a fidgeter and you grab your earrings, you might actually cut yourself. So we're just gently sanding those off. And if you don't have a sanding block, then you can just use an emery board for your nails or a piece of fine grit sandpaper. But if you put a lot of tool marks in them like I did on this one, then it's going to take you a little longer to sand, but it really doesn't take that much effort at all. These are super quick. So just going in one direction at the end to get rid of that burr. And this one's a little wonky at the end, but I really don't mind it because this is supposed to be organic and just willy-nilly, really. So there it is. There's our little lightning bolt. They come out a little bit different every time, and that adds more charm to it. So have fun with these. I mean, like, you can squinch them up a little bit more and make them shorter. You can use a shorter piece of wire. Really, like, this is just what I came up with quickly, so play with it. Do some fun stuff. But they are really adorable for, like, your earring charms. Instead of, you know, a boring traditional paddle. Doesn't that add a lot of flair? I think it's really, really cute. You don't even need any beads if you're a minimalist. Like, how cute are those? Absolutely adorable. So, have fun with them. Feel free to post any pictures you want and share with me what you've created. I hope you give this a try. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.